Live from the PCTV studios, the Monday Morning Quarterback. Your host, Dave Ridenour.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. I'm Dave Ridenour, the Monday Morning Quarterback, and we think we have another great show planned for you this evening. Had a great time last week at Doc's Irish Pub. We had the Potts Grove cheerleaders out there, Johnny Miller, Evan Blissblatt. We had a good time out there. We're back in studio tonight. Coach Mick is back in the house, and after a short break, he and I are going to break down all last week's action right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
Yeah. At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
Back here on set at the Pottstown Studios, Dave Ridenour, and my normal co-host, Coach Jim Mick. And Coach, glad to have you back on board. I know last week you weren't able to make it. Scotty Reed did a nice job in your stead, and we had a good time over there at Doc's. It probably would have been a little bit too loud for your liking. We had to move it inside because of the inclement weather, and those low roofs and low ceilings, I should say, made it really, really loud. But we did have a fun time in there, and again, with the Potts Grove cheerleaders and everybody, it was a lot of fun. Great to see you again, though, Coach, and I'm sure you had an opportunity to check out the action. Let's look at our top five, which is our norm here on the show, and we'll break that down for you. A little movement in the top five this week. There we see the Reinhardt boys, Keith and Ronnie. Ronnie, a Hall of Famer himself, a great player here at Pottstown, then at Shippensburg as well. Let's check that top five out. Again, courtesy of the Reinhardt boys. Potts Grove still number one. Perk Valley still number two. Heading for a showdown possibly. Springford in that third slot with a shutout victory. Upper Perk with an outstanding win, convincing win over the number 5 team now, Pope John Paul, who lost their first game of the year after that historic start to the 2017 season. But again, our top five is brought to you by the Reinhardt boys, the Reinhardt painters. Give them a call. I saw them out there painting outside in the rain the other day. They were working on a house outside and doing a good job out there. But, Coach, let's start right away with the Frontier Division this year, I should say this week, excuse me, and talk about that game that you were at, the Upper Perk and PJP game, which was really a hot game, one that was broadcast right here by the PCTV network sports station. And you can see the score there up there in your upper right-hand corner. 41-14 as Upper Perk went down there and spanked the home team around on their homecoming game on a Saturday afternoon, and a big win for Tom Hansen and his gang.
Well, Tom Hansen and his gang went in against a 7-0 team. And may I say this, I was honored to talk to the PJP football team before the game.
That's the last time you do that.
Yeah. And after we came out, within about a minute and a half, Upper Perk is ahead 13-0. I said, well, I'll probably get fired right after the game. Don't come back again because you messed us all up. But you know what, Dave? You talk about physicality in football. And after Upper Perk got ahead 13-0, PJP did come back. Matt DeLaurentis and some of those receivers are very good players. And they went ahead 14-13. But as I'm standing there watching, I'm looking at Upper Perk, and I said, whoa, they were very, very physical, strong, physical on offense, and likewise on defense.
Well, you know, we talked about that earlier, and again, that's why I was scratching my head, because I saw them play, and I thought, man, if this is the year that they're going to give Pottsgrove a little bit of a run for their money, it would have been this year. And for some reason, they just cannot get over the hurdle against the Falcons. I thought that was going to be a very, very close ball game, but, you know, unfortunately for Upper Perk, they just can't find a way to get over that. Their kryptonite, if you will, Rick Pennypacker's gang. But, boy, they came back and stormed. The Wary brothers did a heck of a job. Luke and Tyler. Luke with a big pick six that helped to change the momentum of the game. You know, there was a big collision on the play. As you talked about the physicality, Jim, Upper Perk really went out there and just wore the Golden Panthers down.
You know, Dave, well, you followed us and were with us for a number of years. There's nothing I liked better on the high school level than a big, strong fullback, and I had a number of those type of kids.
Yes, you
so
did.
I'm standing on the sideline, I'm saying to myself, God, that Tyler Wary looks like one of the kids we had up there. He was big, and he's built like a fullback, and he plays like a fullback. He only had 17 carries for 119 yards, but he was very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. That whole gang from Upper Perk held PJP to 8 yards on 23 attempts, and that was the bottom line of the game, really. DeLaurentis is a good quarterback, and they have some good receivers, but when you don't get time to throw the ball, when the defense is down your throat, you got problems.
Well, and again, PJP had 4 turnovers, which were forced by Upper Perk's defense. As you mentioned, they didn't run the ball very well. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they had that little running back by committee, if you will, with Wary, with Tutelo, and also Reed, who really gives you that little scat back look out of the backfield. You know, Tutelo and Wary are the bruisers that, like I said, you used to love to have at St. Pius. And then, again, Reed is the scat back kind of a guy out there as well. But, you know, the defense really buckled down. You mentioned the fact that they went down 14-13, and they scored 28 unanswered points. DeLaurentis was sort of running around for his life back there. He did throw the ball 39 times, which, you know, you and I had talked about. Tough to win when you're throwing the ball that many times.
Without a doubt. And, you know, we talk about Wary on offense for Upper Perk. They also have this Tutelo kid, Austin Tutelo. He ran the ball something like 10 times for 90 yards. That's 9 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So first impressions are very strong sometimes. And my impressions of Upper Perk were very, very strong because I knew PJP was going to be a solid football team. They're not real big, but some of those kids they have, like Jake Bilstein and people like that, were tough little kids. But the physicality, as I said, was just a little too much.
Yeah, and they got worn down in the second half, and a big win for Tommy Hansen and his gang as they moved to 5-3 overall, 3-1 in divisional play. And again, they're still in the playoff hunt in the 4A division, and they're trying to align themselves up for that crossover game in 2 weeks. So they have some things that they have to work on yet, but they're certainly getting better, and they appear to be peaking at the right time. But again, a big win, and again, ruined PJP's homecoming homecoming. And again, I want to say congratulations to you, Coach. I know you don't like when I do that, but I'm going to do it anyway, that you were inducted into their legendary wall or whatever they call that. And it certainly was a well-deserved honor. And I know that you and your family had a good weekend down there.
It was a great weekend, and I thank PJP. It was very well run, very well organized, and I think all of us there, my family and friends, etc., we had a wonderful time.
And again, congratulations from me as well. All right, let's move on to the next game. Again, Pottsgrove, the team that everybody's been looking toward this year and trying to knock them off. But Rick Pennypacker in what he calls his last year. Some people believe him, some people don't. It could be his last year, his 29th year at the Pottsgrove, and he certainly has a heck of a team. And obviously, what else can you say about Rasul Faison? You know, he's done almost anything that you could ask a high school running back or a football player to do. Got a little nicked up, but it really wasn't anything. It was just all precautionary. And again, he only played 2.5 quarters and still had a huge game as they knock off Phoenixville 53-7 to ruin Phoenixville's homecoming game down there at Washington Stadium.
Well, first of all, I haven't seen Pottsgrove in person yet. But to me, just reading the paper and the stats, they're like a runaway train. So as a coaching staff, and I'd like to talk to some of the coaches in the league, you sit down as a coaching staff and say, well, Pottsgrove is sort of one-dimensional. But you can't stop that one dimension. And when you can't stop that one dimension, you're in trouble. I mean, they only threw the ball 4 times the other night, but he completed
all 4 of them.
And is Faison that good? He must be.
He is.
He's proven it with his stats. And I talked to a couple people. Somebody said to me the other day, I don't know if he's as fast as he is extremely quick. He makes people miss. Now, he had 16 rushes for 246 yards. His final carry was an 82-yard touchdown. But game after game after game, they're scoring 50 points, running the football.
It's amazing to me how they are able to do it. But his offensive line obviously is very, very good. Rick Pennypacker coaches them. He takes a lot of pride in those guys. They always get off the ball, as you mentioned, Jim, year after year. You know, they may not be as big and strong or whatever, but they get off the ball. And the thing about Faison that I like so much is he's such a patient runner that he sets up his blocks well. It doesn't look like he's moving, and all of a sudden he's gliding. And then he does have some decent breakaway speed. I don't know if he has 4.3, 4.4 speed or not, but he doesn't get caught from behind, Jim. So he's got some definite good speed. But Cisco is a guy that I think they're trying to add to what his skill set is, because he can throw the ball. As you mentioned, the quarterback 4 for 4, 67 yards and a touchdown. And that Desmond Alston on the outside, or Alston Desmond, whatever his name is, I get him confused. But he's a heck of a player. He's 6'3", 205, and he makes plays on the outside.
And he got Bailey Delp to throw the ball too. He was 4 for 4, Cisco was, and he rushed for 40 yards himself. But I say this to you, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but as we get into the playoffs, when you look at Pottsgrove's statistics, they had 500 yards total offense, but 435 of them with the rush. Yeah. And I say, well, can they win against some of these really good teams in the 4A and continue to just run the ball? And you know what my answer may be?
They might be able to.
They may be able to do it.
This might be the year for that. You know, they are a senior-laden team, and that is maybe part of the reason why Rick Pennypacker may call it a game after these years. But I know Phoenixville was a little down. They were a little excited. They thought they could hang with them a little bit. Connor Patania, the quarterback, was hurt. They tried to implement a wildcat offense. And, you know, Jim, as well as I do, you cannot put an offense in 1 week to try to special game plan for a team. You got to do what you do best and just let the chips fall where they may. And I've seen coaches do it in the past where they try to change all these different things. And what are you going to do that on Tuesday and Wednesday and play Friday? You just can't do it.
You can put special plays in, and you do for each game, but you can't change the whole offense because technically you have to sit down before the season as a coaching staff and say, this is what this kid can do. This is what this kid can do. We got to get them the ball, et cetera, et cetera. We may have to put the one kid from the backfield into the line to give us more strength in the line. But you know way back where your potential lies, and you got to stick with it.
And again, Pottsgrove jumps up to 8-0, 4-0 in the league. Phoenixville falls to 1-7 and 1-3. And our last game of the Frontier Division, which is a big game for Victor Brown. Again, we were talking about him all year long as he wins his first game here at the expense of my Trojans, 27-6 at Grigg Memorial, as he wins his first game in his coaching career as a head coach down at Upper Marion, and Upper Marion also wins their first game 27-6. Again, Pottstown draws first blood, and then they get they give up 27 straight points. And again, same old story for the Trojans, penalties, fumbles, turnovers, miscues. They're still having problems getting off on the right starting count. It's too many 1st and 15s. But how about giving Upper Marion a lot of credit? They hung in there, and congratulations on your first big win.
Well, you go into that game if you're Pottstown and Upper Marion and you say to each other, I think we can win this game. Because it's been a long season and you're a little more than halfway through the season, and you go out there, and I'm going to talk about Pottstown, I'm going to be positive, okay? They start out well. They put together an 89-yard drive. They got to be ecstatic on the sideline and put together some first downs, and they go up on Upper Marion. But as you have just said, and correctly so, they hurt themselves with fumbles. They had fumble on the kickoff, fumble on the punt return. They had interceptions, etc. They don't have a go-to running back, etc., etc. But I am sure, and I know, that these kids from Pottstown are playing tough and practicing tough and working to get that elusive first victory.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, when's the last time you can remember a Pottstown team not having a running back that could at least be a game breaker from somewhere? They might not win all the games, but he threatens taking it 80 yards at any spot. But, Coach, it was something that Victor Brown said that I enjoyed was that was their best week of practice. Everybody was focused, and we've been hearing that. It's sort of been a common theme all year about the better you guys are practicing, the better we're playing on the weekends, and hopefully the kids are going to get that idea that, we got to practice hard as well.
And both of these coaches are first-year guys, so it takes a while to implement your program. And Vic Brown and Upper Marion people, they had a 10-game losing streak. He's a new coach. It gets bad when you lose, but he hung in there, as Pottstown did, and Upper Marion got a big win for themselves.
All right, Coach. Well, it's time for our first break. We're going to take a quick time out here. We're going to check in on our sponsors and see what they have for us tonight. We get ready for the bigger schools, the Liberty Division, when we come back. But he's Jim Mick. I'm Dave Ridenhour. This is the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
We're back here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback. Quarterback Dave Ridenour and my co-host Jim Mick. And Coach, before we get into the Liberty Division, I just want to take a minute to thank everybody. As many of you know, that I am the president of the local Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame chapter, the Tri-County chapter, and we had our 40th annual ceremony and induction dinner at Sunnybrook on Sunday. It was lovely. It was a beautiful night, and we had a great time. We had almost 200 people there again, and it was a beautiful night. But I just sort of wanted to go off and read the names of the inductees for those of you who may not have seen it in the paper or heard about it. But A.J. Battisto, who was an outstanding pitcher for Pottsgrove and Georgia Southern, actually played in the Miami Marlins farm system for 7 years. Mallory Green, who was an all-around athlete, really specializing in girls softball, though, at Pottsgrove and at Ursinus College. Chris Gorham, the great student athlete, 4.0 student at Pottstown and at University of Virginia, had a great football career. Sean Lacey, outstanding athlete at Pottstown and at Temple. Football player, started for 4 years at Temple, 40 straight games at his career there. Deb Manzola Jimenez, what an outstanding field hockey and lacrosse player at Boyertown, then also at Temple. She was actually teammates with Kelly Grimm Karras. They both were stars at Boyertown and at Temple at the same time. They both were inducted, so that was a special night for them. Matt Cottelis is an outstanding baseball player at Boyertown in the summer or two with the Legion team. Then at Westchester, set all kinds of records, still held today in the PSAC League. From Westchester, Joe Mosley, longtime basketball coach, especially girls basketball in the area. Rick Kranak from Phoenixville, who played for the Pitt Panthers and also the Eagles. And then, of course, Andre Thornton, the outstanding baseball player who ended his career with the Cleveland Indians. But we missed you, Coach, when you were getting you were having your weekend. But next year, hopefully, you'll be back again, and we'll have another good night. But number 40 was a special night.
Well, kudos go out to you and Randy Reber and Gina Custer and all those other officers. You do an outstanding job of putting this program together. It's a first-class operation, and I did hate to miss it because I enjoy renewing old acquaintances and et cetera. And but there are so many deserving athletes that it's not hard every year to have a nice table of acceptance.
Yeah, like I said, we had 19 nominees this year, and 10 of them received enough votes to get inducted, and it was another great class. And again, thank you for the kind words, Jim. But it is a lot of fun. It's something that I really enjoy.
Yep.
And we'll start getting ready for 41 next year. We already got the date set in October at Sunnybrook, so we'll be ready to rock and roll there. Well, let's jump over and see what happened at the Springford Boyertown game. Boyertown is one of those teams, Jim, that we said has really been improving. I think T.J. Miller has done an excellent job. They had a little bit of chaos over there in the beginning of the season. They had to get some things straightened out, but now they have those things straightened out. Boyertown is playing much, much better. And it was a pretty close game at Springford's homecoming on a Saturday afternoon. They win that game 16-0. They pitch a shutout, so the defense played well. I don't think Chad Brubaker was very happy with how his offense executed, but I think Boyertown had a little bit to say about that.
Well, I'll echo your sentiments on T.J. Miller and the Boyertown football staff. I happened to see them in their first scrimmage, and you could tell by, not being critical, but you could tell by looking at, they had a new coach, a new coaching staff, young kids, et cetera, like that. Now, over 5, 6, 7 games, I've seen them a couple more times. They have improved tremendously. You can just tell by looking at them. He has more confidence on the sideline. I watched the quarterback. He gets better all the time. The two running backs are getting stronger. The line is improving. So they've done a nice job over there, and they played Springford tough. And Springford pitched the shutout, and Springford did get key turnovers at opportune times. And you know, Dave, we talk about the skilled kids most of the time, but I've watched Springford a lot with Jim being down there. I've seen there a lot. And I've watched 4 or 5 games so far this year, and I kept saying to myself, who the heck is number 3? He was in the secondary. He was a safety. Because I would see him in the middle of a pile so many times, and I wanted to ask Jim a number of times, who the heck is number 3? Because I'm telling you, he's a good player. Well, he played well on Saturday too, but towards the end of the game, the kid went down, number 3. I could see it right away. His name is Pete Agler. Pete Agler. and he tore his ligaments, and I think he's done for the season. And I think that's going to be a big hurt for Springford's defense because he was a solid kid and a solid player.
Yeah, I said, injuries are such a part of the game today, and we watch at the college and the pro level. You see guys getting hurt all the time, and you hate to see those kids, particularly in high school, get nicked up and more than an ankle sprain or a leg cramp or something. So we wish Pete all the best, and hopefully he might be able to get back on the field before the end of the season. But that game was only 3-0 at the half, Jim.
Right,
it was. And of course, you talked about the athletes now. Hayden Mathias is doing a better job at Boyertown. Of course, Cap is one of the best two-way players in the league. He's certainly an all-league caliber guy. Marcus Thomas is getting better. The Moshe boys have improved. So TJ is really doing a good job. But you got to give Chad Brubaker and his gang a lot of credit. Even when they didn't play well, they still were able to finish off the game. Pergene is certainly a quality kid. And your little guy, DeFrancisco, with another 100 yards plus.
Yep, he had 137 yards on 20 attempts. And, Springford does have the reputation of scoring points. But you got to also give Boyertown credit because I thought they played solid defense led by Reese Stahl, who had 3 hurries and a sack, etc. They played a solid defensive game. Their problem was offensively turning the ball over in the red zone. Springford took advantage.
Well, and that's certainly a situation. Also, we want to have a little kudos to Ross Pennypacker, Rick's son, who was inducted into the Springford Hall of Fame there on their homecoming weekend as well. Congratulations to Ross. Now, PV is a team, boy, I tell you what, they have been impressive. They played a great non-league schedule. They played some big boys. They knocked off a couple. They lost their only defeat came to Penn Ridge. It's certainly a quality squad, but they go down there and knock off Norristown 44-zip. And I know some of the PV people were afraid of a little bit of a letdown maybe after that big win over Springford the week before, but they showed no signs of a letdown, Coach. 44-zip over Norristown.
You know what? I give you credit. You have great knowledge of the game because early in the season, you said to me, I just saw Perk Valley played. You did the game. And he said, you know what, Coach? When they came out on the field, they weren't impressive at all. He said they had a little nose guard. Their size wasn't great. But you know what? You were absolutely right. And I went down to see the Springford game, and I'm watching the first and second quarter, and I'm saying, Perk Valley's cheating. They got 15 guys on the field.
Yeah.
And, well, naturally, they weren't cheating. But their kids got to the ball as quick as any team I've seen in a long time. It was so apparent, their quickness and aggressiveness. And they're going to be tough to beat.
They are going to be tough to beat. And for some reason, that 3-5-3 defense that they run, that Scotty Reed and his gang installed a few years ago, has really been worked out like a charm for them. They have good athletes who can run to the ball. Brendan Shimp, I think, is one of the better players in the league, especially defensively. He is just continuing to do things. As you mentioned, the little nose guard in there creates all kinds of havoc. And you mentioned, it looks that way. They have like 15 kids because there's always 5 around the ball. They get to that football. And I said, in the last couple of years, their offense with Sturm and Jaworski and Williams and all was so prolific that you never looked at their defense much. But their defense over the last few years has been outstanding.
They create havoc. They're so aggressive, etc. And hasn't Cole Peterlin fit into the system? He fit right into that glove this year. And he had 4 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 2 passing.
Yeah, and he's a tall lefty. He looks like Sturm, and he throws a real nice ball, and he's only a junior. He's going to get better. And I said, Robbie Heist has done a heck of a job, and they have not missed a beat in his year and a half of taking over the helm as the head coach. They have clinched the #1 spot in the crossover divisional play, so they will be in a championship game in 2 weeks, but they have another game yet, and we'll talk about that. All right, Jim, and the last game was O&J and Methacton, and again, poor Methacton, we talked about Paul Dupree and his gang. They just don't have the numbers. They have guys banged up, and certainly they cannot afford to lose anybody. But we're going to give their quarterback, Dylan Schultz, a lot of credit. He's a gamer. He has played tough. He has not given up and quit. But they run into a very solid defense over there in Bucktown, 55-14, the Cats on top.
Do you remember last year that Methacton upset O&J? So O&J didn't forget that. And this is a big game against Springford. We'll talk about that later on. But O&J can make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're
They
right,
beat
they're right in there.
Yeah, they're right
in
there.
Yeah.
They're right there. And Dawson Stewart has become the all-time leading passer for most categories for O&J Roberts. So on Saturday, he was 9 for 9 passing, 164 yards. He's an all-around football player, all around, just not a quarterback.
33 career touchdowns. He moved into #1 on their all-time list, and they've had some good ones over there. And of course, Don Strock is a guy that everyone thinks of when you think of O&J quarterback. Stewart, with the luxury of having played his freshman year, though, which gives him a little bit of a head start. But still, congratulations to Dawson Stewart for that nice record, and also Rich Kolka and his gang. All right, Coach, well, we got to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to look at this week's action coming up. And then we have our player of the week and this coach on stage here waiting to get on. So we have some good things happening. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Back in 1949, Claude A. Reinhardt founded his family business, which has served the Pottstown and Tri-County area for over 50 years, specializing in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting, paper hanging, and brick restoration. Thanks to the commitment of tradition and values, Claude A. Reinhardt Painters has once again received this year's Reader's Choice Award. So if you're thinking about having an estimate or just need some good advice, give Ron or Keith Reinhardt a call and put your painting and decorating needs in our hands.
Kids are nice to have.
And we're back here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback. Dave Rydnow, Jim Mick. And again, I want to thank Mikey over there at Mike's Brick Oven Pizza, one of Coach Mick's favorite students back in the day.
When I used to teach him health, Michael and Jeff and those guys were in my health class. So I'd get teaching there, and I'd look back into the classroom, and Michael was always sort of
daydreaming.
Asleep. And I'm thinking, is he that tired, or am I that boring? So I would go back and I'd whack him on the back of the head and tell him to wake up. And as he was waking up, he would say, "Coach, I'm paying attention."
Yeah, every time I go in there, he always tells me to tell Coach Mick I said hello.
The Craters and the Mullins.
Yes,
Boy, they were some guys, I'll tell you.
And he said, I always love him. You know, he was tough on me. He was one of my favorite of all time. And he used to get me all the time. But they do a great job, and they always send us over some nice food, some pizzas, strombolis, wings. It's always good for our players and our guests to have something to eat.
He must have been good in chemistry because he mixed together a soda.
Yeah,
He's got his own soda.
He got his own label and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, he does. He's a heck of an entrepreneur, I know, and he's involved in the Halloween thing. So Michael does a great job, and again, we want to thank him year in and year out. He's always the Mercury's best, Strombolis and pizzas or whatever. All right, Jim, well, let's break down this week's action here before we get our player of the week on there. Let's start with the Frontier Division. Phoenixville travels to Upper Marion. Phoenixville would like nothing more than to win this ball game. This is a game that they feel like they can win. Upper Marion, though, has a one-game winning streak on, which Victor Brown can build on out a little bit. This, again, a game that looks like it could go either way.
Well, it is at Upper Marion, and they're on a high after last week's win. And you know what, Dave? I think it's going to come down to turnovers. Whoever turns the ball over the least, will win that football game. But it should be a good game because they're evenly matched.
Okay, now the next game is the Trojans traveling over to the hot Upper Perkiomen Indians over there in Pennsburg. Again, game on paper looks like Upper Perk is really getting ready for their playoff run. The Trojans licking their wounds a little bit, still at 1-7 for the season. On paper, doesn't look like an easy game at all for the Trojans.
Very, very difficult task for the Pottstown Trojans. But as the coaches have said all season, the kids have practiced hard, they've worked hard, and they need some things to go their way. Upper Perk, in my mind, has got to be thinking about last week's win in order for Pottstown to have a shot.
Again, Pottstown better be ready to buckle little chin straps up because Upper Perk will come out and hit you. And in the big game, a lot of people thought was going to come down to maybe two undefeated teams. But Upper Perk had something to say about it. Pope John Paul travels to Pottsgrove to Pennypacker Field on Friday night. Pottsgrove looking for a little bit of revenge, I guess.
Yep.
Last year, PJP knocked them off, and I think they have this date circled on their calendars.
That may have been the upset of the year last year, PJP upsetting the Grove down there at PJP. So they're certainly not going to forget that. Coach Graver's got to regroup his team, because they were immensely disappointed with that loss. But I got to say, as good as PJP is with the throwing game, Pottsgrove is good defensively. And they're going to be physical also. And their size and physicalness may just be too much for PJP. And they got to get healthy again also, PJP.
Yeah. Again, Matt DeLaurentis is going to have a full plate if he wants to try to keep his squad in that game. It should be a good one over here in Lower Pottsgrove. Now over there to the Liberty Division, Norristown travels to Boyertown. We talked a little bit about Boyertown now, maybe being one of the most improved teams from the beginning of the season to this point. They would like nothing more than to knock off Norristown on their home field on a Friday night. Norristown coach Powell would like to try to get something going here at the end of the season, maybe build in for next year, springboard into the all-season, getting the weight training thing going on. A good game at Boyertown, Coach.
Well, Boyertown is 2-6. They could get to 3-6, and as I said previously, they're getting better as a football team. That midline option and things like that, they're getting down. They got Jerry Cap to throw the ball to. The quarterback is playing well. They got two nice running backs. If that offensive line can step up, I think they'll be the victor over Norristown.
In a game, it looks like a mismatch here on paper. Methacton travels to PV. Methacton just sort of running out of gas. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the players. Again, we talked about the quarterback, Dylan Schultz, really putting forth a yeoman's effort there, trying to do what he can to get better. He is an underclassman, but it just looks like PV has a little bit too much for Methacton this year.
And that's a neighborhood rivalry. We know that. It's always been a big rivalry down there. And we also know Paul Lepre. And we know there is no quit in Paul Lepre. And that will get into his kids, which it has all year. They will make a concerted effort on Friday night, but PV is just too good.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. And in the game that we will show here on the PCTV Network Sports, I'll be over there in Bucktown for this game, which I didn't realize was such an intense rivalry till this recently. Springford at Owen J. Roberts. Owen J. Roberts feels pretty good. Coach Kalka and some of his players are talking a little smack over there. They're waiting for Springford. This is a big game in more ways than one, Coach. We have playoff implications. We have divisional play implications. We got all kinds of things happening. This should be a good one over there in Bucktown.
I'm still waiting for a year or so for Owen J. Roberts to get that big win. That's the opportunity. And they got all the tools to get it done. And if Springford doesn't come ready to play, they could be in trouble. but I see it as a very close game. I think both defenses have to play well and will play well. So that'd be a good ball game to go to see.
And we are looking forward to that one. And again, that is the game of the week here on the PCTV network as well. All right, Coach. Well, again, I want to thank you for stopping by. Always great to have your insights. And again, congratulations on a big weekend that you had down at Pope John Paul. But again, we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday as we break down all the last weekend's work in action as well. All right, we got our player of the week ready to come on here. So we're going to take a quick timeout, get the set changed around. We'll be right back with more right here on the Vallejo Stun Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Back in 1949, Claude A. Reinhardt founded his family business, which has served the Pottstown and Tri-County area for over 50 years, specializing in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting, paper hanging, and brick restoration. Thanks to the commitment of tradition and values, Claude A. Reinhardt Painters has once again received this year's Reader's Choice Award. So if you're thinking about having an estimate or just need some good advice, give Ron or Keith Reinhardt a call and put your painting and decorating needs in our hands.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
At Vallejo Stun Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vallejo Stun Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vallejo Stun Insurance, and we're in your community.
Back here on the Vallejo Stun Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show, Dave Reinauer, and always a fun part of the show is when we get an opportunity to meet the player of the week and his coach. This week we're going over to Upper Perk again as they're having a great year, especially the second half of the year. And Tyler Wary, number 34, the two-way player from Upper Perk, is our player of the week. And assistant coach, the head of the defense coordinator, Brian Peoples, is in the house representing the coaching staff. Guys, first of all, thanks for stopping over and congratulations on a big win. All right, now last year, Tyler, you guys had a pretty good year. You made it to the playoffs the first time in a while for your school, so things had to be pretty good at the end of the season. Disappointing at the end, obviously, but then you're going into the off season. What kinds of things were you doing as a senior to be last year to get these guys ready to see what you can do for this year's football season?
Well, I think I was really just trying to rally them together and get them to buy into the CrossFit, and our quarterback coach, Casey Pearlstein, really got us to buy into that. And us captains just came together and said, last year at the end of the season, that tough loss against Pottsgrove, we knew we had to get stronger, and that's ultimately what we did.
You know, Pottsgrove certainly is a team that does weight train as well. You know, Rick Pennypacker, 29 years over there, he built a heck of a program going. So, Brian, obviously that was something that you guys as a staff got yourself together and did the CrossFit thing and the training. How did that work out for you?
I think it worked out outstanding. Like Tyler said, Coach Pearlstein does an absolutely unbelievable job with that. Takes a lot of responsibility upon himself, and the captains especially worked about as hard as you can, and their bodies changed, absolutely. We had some trouble with cramps, and we don't have 2 platoons on our team, so most of these guys play 2 ways, yeah. And it's important that they're in shape, and it worked out. It has worked out very well.
Well, that's awesome. Now, Tyler, I know a lot of you guys have been together since the 8th grade. I know Tommy Hans was your coach back in the middle school and all that. So you guys, I'm sure, have a pretty tight group of guys.
Oh, yeah, we're all close friends on and off the field, so we know each other well.
So I guess it wasn't hard for you then, as one of the seniors, one of the captains, one of the leaders, to get the guys to rally together?
Oh, no, we all just know each other so well, so I knew how to get them to buy into the system.
Well, you got Tutelo, you got Kendra, you have Fryer, who was a player of the week a couple of weeks ago. So you certainly do have some guys that bought in as well.
Oh yeah, Cole's great. He's our speaker, and Tutelo's the enforcer, and Kaiser's the quarterback.
And you're just a silent assassin, huh?
Yep.
Attaboy, it's good stuff. Now, Brian, obviously, you know, Coach Hans is trying to implement his program and what he does. And I guess all the players are buying into that. How is all that transition from wrestling coach and junior high coach to high school coach now? How is all that going for you guys?
Coach Hans is really starting to fit in as a football coach, and I think his play calling has been tremendous this year. He also works very closely with his staff, Coach Pearlstein, Coach Beeler, Coach Cole. We function together very well. I think we all know what we do well, and the game planning was a concert effort this week. It was a lot of people pitching in, and a lot of repetitions, and some great leadership from Tyler and Cole and Luke and others, and it really paid off on Saturday.
Well, you know, you had 7 starters coming back on offense and 9 on defense, so I'm sure you had some pretty big expectations. Did you guys set some goals for yourself in the beginning of yourself, team-wise, individual? How did that work for you, Tyler?
Well, I think the captains ultimately wanted to have a home playoff game this year. I mean, we got a taste last year with an away one at Pottsgrove, so we just wanted to come back stronger this year.
All right, so certainly that's a goal worth shooting for. Is the league play, you know, it's so funny because once they went into divisional play, Brian, you know, there was a big tussle back and forth. Well, the league's not as important as the playoffs and stuff. What's the approach over at Upper Perk? How do you approach it? League play versus playoff play, or how do you all handle that?
We've played a pretty tough out-of-conference schedule, and I think that's prepared us better for teams. You mentioned earlier Pottsgrove is our kryptonite. Our goal was to take on Pottsgrove this year, and we fell short the first time. We're hoping for another opportunity there. But as far as league play, the Pac-10 is very important to us, and we like where we stand right now, but we'd like to knock off some of the big boys.
Yeah, you know, you did have a tough non-league schedule. You played at Cocalico, you played Boyertown, so you played some big schools. Cocalico is certainly a very talented squad for you. Do you feel that sort of helped you out for once you start playing in the Frontier Division, Tyler?
Well, yeah, definitely the Cocalico game, and then to go along with that, the Upper Moreland game, who we played them pretty tough, and they're still undefeated right now, so.
Yeah. So you're building up those bonus points and trying to get themselves in there. Now, you know, offensively, This guy is part of the three-man committee. You know, you talk about Austin Tulo, you talk about Tyrese Reed, so you have some ways to spread the ball around. How is that going offensively, even though you're a defensive coach?
I was an offensive lineman. I played
Okay.
offensive line. I coached the offensive line too. I blocked for Sean Wooden, who played for Notre Dame and the Dolphins, and he made an offensive lineman look much better than you really were. These guys are similar in that respect. They really are hard runners, and Tyrese is only a sophomore, so we hope he gets a little bigger. But he is something else.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel? I mean, as a team guy and as a captain, you share the ball a little bit. I guess you're okay with giving everybody their touches.
I mean, it all starts up front with the line, and then it comes back to Tudor at fullback. So they paved the way pretty well for me and Tyrese.
Well, last year Zeke Holman was certainly one of a dominant player in the league. He was an all-league caliber player, Tyler. You had to replace him, and I guess Kaiser moves over from wide receiver to the quarterback position. How's that going?
I think it honestly went perfectly. I mean, we had Bo Duca and Brandon Martin being able to step in at the slot, and then Kaiser. He was our 8th grade quarterback, so he's
so he hadn't played it before then. Okay, so you certainly did have some familiarity with him, and you have some other skilled guys. Obviously, Ryan Kendra is another guy. I talked about Jerry Cap earlier as a good two-way player, receiver and defensive back. Kendra is certainly a heck of a player.
I mean, this week against Pope John Paul, he really showed on the defense side. I think they only threw his way about 3 times.
Yeah. And Brandon stepped up because he was targeted, and Brandon had his best game of the year.
I said, as a D coordinator, I was going to ask you. You had a big task with D. Laurentis. He certainly is a guy that can make some plays both with his feet and with his arm, and he can extend the plays a little bit. What was the game plan to get ready for him?
Well, we used Tyler Kaiser as our scout quarterback, and he has some quickness too. He can run around in the pocket for a while. We repped everything. We put in some entirely new schemes, and it was all about repetitions. And I have to credit Casey Pearlstein and Chris Beeler and Jake Engel, my assistant coaches, for hatching an unbelievable game plan. And, I mean, there were a lot of late nights last week.
Yeah, I bet there were. You're getting into crunch time now in the home stretch. Now, I guess you have a sort of a neat situation, Tyler. You get a chance to play with your brother, Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you and Luke on the field.
He's come along as such a good player. I mean, last year was his first year back since I think about 7th grade, and they kind of just threw him in there, and he got some playing time last year, and then they put the task of him to starting this year at inside backer. So he's fitting nicely. That interception was awesome. I was running down the field.
Yeah, as I said, you were yelling to him, "Watch your back, keep going," huh?
Yeah, I was, and then once he got off on the races, I was just screaming. Go.
That's awesome. So, is there a little sibling rivalry between the two of you? Like to say, I had 10 tackles, you had 7. Any of that go on, or you guys pretty much pull for each other?
I mean, he played better than me this week, I think.
Well, that takes a good brother to be able to admit that he played pretty well, but he certainly did. And I guess there were some bone-charring hits there. I heard I had my Hall of Fame dinner Saturday night, and I didn't get a chance to get down to the game, but I heard there was some hard hitting going on.
Yeah, that's we pride ourselves on being physical. One of the things we've worked on since Tom is taking over is tackling, because that was something we were deficient at ever since I can remember. And thanks to guys like Tyler, Tudelo, Nick Benner, our defensive end has been outstanding with that. Tyrese is an excellent tackler. It's something we do work on as much as possible, and I think we've seen the benefits of it.
We talked a little bit off air before we went on, Tyler, and as a two-way player, which side of the ball do you prefer? Do you like offense better than D or D better than O? What do you like?
I definitely look forward to defense more, but I also like carrying the ball a little bit.
That's fun, getting in the end zone. You've had an opportunity to get that a few times. Between the three of you and Tyrese and Austin, you had 5 touchdowns on Saturday afternoon, so that has to be a pretty good thrill getting in that end zone.
Yeah, I mean, all credit goes to the offense line. I can't say it enough. Them and Kaiser with the handoffs, I mean, it's just awesome.
Now, would you rather score a touchdown or come up and have a nice tackle and pop one loose?
I think always the big hits.
Yeah, always the big hits. That's what we like as well. We certainly like those big kind of hits. But it must be neat the fact that you get a chance to play with your brother, and as you said, he's really coming along into his own. So you had the big game. You game planned for Pope John Paul. They were undefeated, playing down there. Do you like Saturday afternoons? Do you prefer Friday nights?
I don't know. Saturday might have changed my mind, but I think I'm still on Friday
Night
nights.
Light, yeah, Friday Night Light guy. I'm the same way. when I played at Pottstown, we were one of the few teams that had lights back in the 70s, and we played some Saturday afternoon games, and I didn't care for them as much. I really took me a while to get used to playing Saturdays in college. It really did. Friday nights were always a lot of fun, but as long as you're playing ball, that's all that matters. So that's good. That's good. Now, what did you have to do personally to get yourself ready for Pope John Paul? What kind of things were you getting yourself ready for?
Well, we changed up the defense a lot. I mean, Peeps told me at the beginning of the week here, he's like, you're going to spy the quarterback the entire game, and that's going to be your only responsibility, so I had to prepare for that. I mean, Dearlinus is a great quarterback, so.
Were you a little tired at the end of that game then from running around after him? Or?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I know the cross training comes into play, but still, when you play both ways on the football field, you're going to be there. And so, obviously, then offensively, what did you have to do to get yourself ready for that game? Did you see some areas that you thought you could exploit? Did you think, hey, you know what, we can pound it and ground and pound these guys a little bit?
I think we knew we had to come in and ground and pound, and then being able to set up the pass and then throw the ball where we needed to. I mean, just came out. That's what worked for us.
Yeah, it certainly has. Again, you guys sitting there a pretty good spot at 5-3. Now you have one more game before the crossovers. You're going to end up with the Trojans, my team, which unfortunately hasn't had such a good year. Go with you, Coach. What kinds of things now do you get yourself ready for to keep them prepared for the Trojans?
Well, we have to stay up. There can't be a letdown. I watched their Methacton game yesterday morning, and they showed a lot of spread concepts. Actually, looked like a Springford or a Pope John Paul, you know, in their schemes. And Methacton played them tough, and they hung in there and won that game. So they can be a dangerous team. They've certainly battled us in the past, and nothing, of course, is taken for granted.
But you have a home game, which is a big advantage. How the kids in the school in the hallway and stuff, is there a little bit of excitement going on over there now to follow the football team?
Yeah, excitement and also emotion, too. It's our senior night, so that could be our last time playing on that field. Hopefully not, but.
Yeah. All right, so that should be a tough one. Now, what are you going to do? What kind of things? Let's go offense first. What do you see against Pottstown? You going to try to continue to run the ball and then mix it up with a little balance?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched too much film yet, but I mean, we go in every week looking to ground and pound, and then that sets up Kaiser, who's doing a great job this year.
I don't want to give away all your secrets there, guys, but you know we want to know a little bit about what's happening there. Now, it always amazes me, and Coach Mick and I laugh all the time because back in our day we had the old 16 millimeter, 8 millimeter films, and we could barely watch them. We couldn't even tell who was who. You guys have all these great things. Are you a film guy now?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
big time.
I know it's like I just can't get over how much film these kids watch anymore. It's awesome, and the availability to do that. Now, do you spend more time watching offenses or defenses, or how do you handle that?
I think I ultimately watch more offense.
So you can see for the defense and see what's going on and how you make your tackles. Well, no, you know, you do have a couple of things. I know you want to take it one game at a time, and every coach says we can't look down the road, but let's look down the road a little bit. Obviously, if things break your way, you're going to have a good game, maybe playing Springford again that you played last year in the crossover game, and then hopefully the playoffs. Looks like you're in there pretty solid for the playoffs. Tell us a little bit about what's next down the line for you.
Well, if we do see Springford again, that's a team we've struggled against, to say the least. Coach Brubaker does an outstanding job designing that offense, and they always have a lot of kids, and they always have a lot of guys at the skill positions. Our goal is to develop some kind of system where we can prevent them from making the big play, and hopefully Tyler and Austin and Tyler and Ryan and all of our seniors can lead us into battle. And I think the mindset has to be that we can stand up, again, to the major players in this conference.
And again, the Frontier Division, or excuse me, the Liberty Division will host the crossover games this year.
And Springford is a hard place to play.
Yeah, it is a hard place to play for sure. And how about you now the rest of the season? Obviously, you want to take care of Pottstown. You don't want to overlook them. You want to make sure that you take care of business there. But obviously, you have a couple of big games, hopefully some playoffs down the road.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Pottstown's the focus right now, but then down the road, looking for Springford, whoever we get that week, and then playoffs. I mean, I'm hungry for a playoff game.
Attaboy, that's what we like to hear. And again, you know, it's nice because you get a chance to celebrate a little bit after your victory, but then boom, it's right back to work again on Sunday and Monday to get ready for the game. We always ask everybody, how's school going? Everything good school-wise? And,
always.
Attaboy. And it's great to see these young people. We have a lot of youngsters that watch the show, and we got some great role models on here, and certainly Tyler is one of those guys, good academics as well. Well, guys, I want to thank you for stopping over. I got a couple of things for you here, Tyler. Courtesy of the Complete Graphics. Their motto is, we'll print anything but money. So get down there on High Street in Pottstown. It's a great little spot. They do help me out with my certificates there. You are the player of the week for this week. And then, of course, my man Charlie Pierce at the Trophy and Plaque Shack. We call this our little mini Heisman. Yeah. So you get that for this week as well, which identifies you as the player of the week. Tyler Wary, Upper Perk, October 16th, the player of the week for them as well. But again, I want to thank Charlie Pierce and the Ritwich boys for all they do for the show, and it's really a lot of fun, and hopefully you can remember your time here on the show. Tyler, great meeting you again, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you,
Coach. Thanks for stopping by. Help yourself
pleasure.
to some food over there. Mike's brought a whole bunch of stuff, and I like to see these young guys getting down and eating. Well, again, that's Tyler Wary, number 34 for Upper Perk, senior linebacker and running back, and Coach Brian Peoples, who is the defensive coordinator for Upper Perk. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we have more right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Established in 1916 and granted membership into the Philadelphia Golf Association in 1920, Brookside Country Club is well known for its challenging layout and true, fast greens. The William Gordon design provides a challenge for golfers of all abilities. Brookside Country Club offers traditional club amenities in a family-friendly atmosphere. Brookside Country Club, where elegance and excellence are par for the course.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community. Hey, there we are. The dynamic duo is back in the house. My buddy Joe C.
missed him last week over at Doc's Irish Pub. Joe had a previous commitment and could not make it to the show, but we certainly did miss him. But he was in our thoughts for sure, and we're glad to have him back on set with us. I know my buddy over there, Butchie Cleaver, one of my big fans from Boyertown, he misses you too, brother. I got to get a chance to introduce you to him.
Oh, yeah?
He's a character, man. He's a good old boy from Boyertown. And he watches every week, and he misses when Joe C is in the house. But again, I want to thank Denny Malloy and all the nice people over at Fred Beans of Boyertown for taking care of Joe C and I and sponsoring this part of the show. Well, it's sort of a funny time because we didn't have a game this weekend, but it was last Thursday.
Right.
But it was a heck of a game, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched the first half. Most of the people stayed over at Doc's for at least the first half, and I got a chance to sit there with a lot of my friends that were there for the show. And I'll tell you what, the Eagles, I'm not ready to put them in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm not ready to say this or that, but they are playing about as good as anybody is right now in the NFL.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if I was on the show last week, I probably would have taken Carolina with between Fletcher Cox being out.
But he
thought
played.
he would be out,
yeah.
and Johnson being out. I thought that, especially playing in Carolina, that the Panthers were going to have the edge. Hey, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm glad you weren't there.
Probably the first time I was wrong for, wow.
10 minutes?
but no, seriously.
Because I would have beat
seriously,
you again.
Yeah, of
in the
course you would have. But I honestly would have, truth be told, I was going to take Carolina probably 28-24, somewhere in that vicinity. And you know what? The Eagles played really good. And you know what? I know you're saying you're not going to put them in the Super Bowl or anything like that. But yesterday with Aaron Rodgers going down, that kind of takes Green Bay out of the picture a wee bit, and opens it up. And then you look at Atlanta, 17-0 on Miami, and they wound up losing.
Well, you know how I feel about Matty Ice. I'm not the biggest Matty Ice fan. I think he's a stat guy. I mean, that's for Renee Olkowitz and all her friends out there, the fantasy people. They like to jump on guys like Matt Ryan, who puts up good numbers. But, you know, when it comes down to winning ball games, you have to be able to come up in clutch time. I think last year they had a great year. They made it to the Super Bowl, obviously. They had a game that they looked like they were going to win, other than Brady and what they were able to pull off. But you know, and again, in crunch time yesterday, they got the ball with 2 minutes to go, and he couldn't lead them down the field to at least get a tie, you know, and go to overtime.
I agree. You know,
so I don't know. Like I said, it's so early into the season yet. I think the Eagles are definitely playoff bound. Once they get into the playoffs, you know, they turn things up a notch. I'm hoping that things are going to continue for them. But you know, you talk about Fletcher Cox. You know, I'm not the biggest Cox fan either. However, I thought that was the best game he played that I can remember on Thursday night.
He was a monster.
He was a monster.
He was a monster. And let's go back to Atlanta a little bit. You know, you look at Beasley got hurt.
Yeah.
So he was out of the game. So you want to know why Miami's able to come back. You look at a player like that and you go, wow, that's a big loss.
Well, talking about injury, I really thought that when Luke Kuechly went out of the game, that helped the Eagles a little bit too.
Absolutely. I was just going to bring that up.
Monster inside.
I thought it was a stinger here.
Oh, yeah.
It was possibly his collarbone, but here was a concussion. But he did take a shot. And you know what? That's a big loss. That kind of takes the air out of the time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Well, I say just like when Sean Lee plays for Dallas, I you know, and I don't have the stats, and I don't care to look at it, but I would venture to say, you know, bet a little bit of money that when Sean Lee is on the defense and on the field for the Cowboys, their record is way better than when he's not off, because he is a heck of a player too.
It's kind of like when I'm on the show.
It's much better. It is way better. It is way better. There's no doubt about it. I would never say that. But it is.
Stop. You're scaring me now. No, seriously.
I give credit where credit's due.
It is true that when you lose a key player like that, it affects the whole team.
Sure,
offense, defense, either or.
Well, you know, I'm nothing against Hundley, the kid from for Green Bay now, but you know, I'm sure they're looking around in the offensive huddle going like this now. You know,
you saw McCarthy last night saying he's my starter and you know, that's my backup, and he didn't look too sure of himself last night.
Well, and again, he was thrown into the fire. I'm sure he, you know, I mean, I don't know if those guys always say they're ready because they know in any play they can get in, and that is the case in football, and particularly in the NFL.
Right.
But I think Hundley's going to have a lot of work ahead of him yet. He's still relatively young. He hasn't played much, but you know the plays that Aaron Rodgers make. Oh my goodness, it's crazy, crazy.
You know what? I gotta say this. I'm thinking that I'm looking at Carson Wentz, and I'm starting to see a little bit of similarity with this guy.
Well, sure, I would think so.
He's smart, right? You head to toe. He's smart. He's got a strong arm. He's got mobility, and he's sneaky fast.
Yeah.
He's not really quick, but he gets out of the pocket and has that escapability, right?
Yeah, well, you know, you look at what Cam Newton did last Thursday night. I mean, there were a couple of nice runs he makes. I mean, he's an athlete.
Yeah,
he's as good an athlete as there is.
He
is at the quarterback position. But I think it's a fair thing to not to compare him yet to Rodgers, but to say he projects to someone Rodgers-like.
Roger-esque.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. In a few years, he could do that. And if he has that innate ability that you and I both talk about, to be able to make those plays in the fourth quarter, to put that team on your back when you need to and take them down and win that game in the fourth quarter, then he is going to be the heck of a player.
And you look at him, and you look at Blunt running the ball, but you look at the trenches. You look at the defensive line and how they're able to interchange Jernigan and Bo Allen and everybody and get them in and Graham. And then you look at the offensive line, and your man was Snooski.
Yeah.
And you know what?
He's been a difference.
He has been a difference.
You
were talking about him last
Yeah,
year.
I was.
Absolutely, for sure. We don't have to go back and look at the tapes. And you know what? You're right. But you're right. He's a player. You were talking about putting him at center.
I did.
But you know what?
Yeah.
He's interchangeable as long as they stay healthy and Johnson doesn't do anything stupid like he did last year. Because last year at the same time, I think they were 3-1 or maybe 4-1 when he got suspended.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know, it's funny. You know, we talk about the center position very quickly there, but you know, hey, let's give Kelsey a little bit of props here. He's done okay.
Yes.
You know, he's gotten better. Maybe he did listen to some of the things that were being said about him. Maybe he did realize that, hey, you know what? Maybe my days are numbered here. I better start buckling down and getting on some stuff. Maybe he weight trained a little bit harder. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was ever effort with him. It was just the fact that he was so small, and he would get, you know, you go up against those 330-pound D tackles and stuff. He was getting waylaid.
And you're right. Last year was noticeable that he was getting pushed around.
Yeah.
This year, it's not noticeable,
Yeah.
and it's like they're a unit. They're more of a unit.
Well, and I think with Brooks and Wisniewski on each side now too, they can chip in there a little bit, double team on that nose if he needs to be, and move those guys off the ball a little bit. But you know, it's good times for the Eagles at this point. Well, Joseph, let's take a quick timeout. We come back. We have our game ball. We have our by the number segment that we like to do here on the show, and then ultimately we have our 5-pack picks. But good things are happening for the 5-1 Eagles. He's Joe C. I'm Dave Ridenour. We are the dynamic duo right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Stay tuned for more Monday Morning Quarterback right after this.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
So you're officially married. Congrats! It's time to combine things. Your last names, your toothbrush holders, and your health insurance. When you combine policies, you can save and live happily ever after financially. Use the red key for more money-saving tips. Find yourself impulse buying uncontrollably? Here's a tip from Ben Franklin. Carry me in your wallet. Big bills are harder to give up. The next time you're tempted to impulse buy, you might not want to break a Benjamin. Use the red key and save.
Back in 1949, Claude A. Reinhardt founded his family business, which has served the Pottstown and Tri-County area for over 50 years, specializing in residential and commercial interior and exterior painting, paper hanging, and brick restoration. Thanks to the commitment of tradition and values, Claude A. Reinhardt Painters has once again received this year's Reader's Choice Award. So if you're thinking about having an estimate or just need some good advice, give Ron or Keith Reinhardt a call and put your painting and decorating needs in our hands.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Dynamic duo back here on the stage at the studio here in Pottstown High at the PCTV Network. Dave Ridenour, Joe C. Vallejo's Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback. Joe, by the numbers. What do you got for me? You got anything good for the numbers?
I mean, yeah, I got. I was gonna give this as my my game ball, but I think what I'm gonna do is
parlay it.
I'll leave him go, and I'll give you this guy, the Deshaun Watson.
Okay.
How about Deshaun Watson?
All right.
Was 3 games in a row that he's thrown for three TD passes. First rookie to ever do that, and he has 16 touchdown passes in the first 6 games that he's played. He's played in all 6, right?
Yeah. Well, his deal is he's got to stay away from interceptions. You know, he's been throwing some interceptions.
He gets out of the pocket.
He obviously
he starts
shows that
running.
he's got great leadership skills. What Dabo Sweeney said last year, going into the draft, was exactly right. If you don't take this guy, you're crazy. He's a leader. He can play. He used his legs more in college than I'm sure he will in the pros because, you know, those guys get beat up, and he'll take some shots and he'll slow down a little bit. But he certainly has done a heck of a job for the Houston Texans, and I'll go with that. I had something here by the numbers for you too. You know, the New Orleans Saints have given up 21 or more points at home in the last 25 straight games, which is an NFL record. No team has ever done that. 25 in a row, they have given up 20. And I said, you know, you can't expect Drew Brees to score 48 points every week, and they can't do any better defensively at home. That's sad.
Yeah, and yesterday they had 3 defensive touchdowns to set a franchise record for them. But that was a wild game yesterday.
Yeah. Well, let's go to your game ball. Let's see what my buddy's doing. My buddy Paul Strauss, my good friend and loyal supporter, the guy that I go to when I get my hair clipped and trimmed and whatever. There he is right there, my buddy at 943 North Hanover Street in Pottstown. That's my guy right there. I'm going to go first this week.
Yeah, I was going to say, I figured you were going to go first. Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
Why did you figure that?
Because I only have one guy. I was real strong with this guy.
I don't have a guy, so you're okay.
Oh, yeah?
I was going to give mine to the New Orleans defense, which is hard to believe, but I'm going to give it to the New Orleans defense. They had 5 sacks.
Yes.
They had 3 interceptions, 2 of them taken back for touchdowns. They recovered 2 fumbles and returned 1 of them for a touchdown.
Yes.
So, you know, did Stafford play yesterday in that game?
Yeah,
So
he had 3 INTs.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to give it to the New Orleans defense, even though I was sort of laughing at the fact that they've given up at least 21 points in 25 straight games at home, which is really amazing to me. But I'll just give their defense a little bit of credit. They scored a bunch of points in a wild game, and they beat Detroit, who is one of those teams that everyone says every year, that's my breakout team. That's my breakout team. That's my breakout team. And guess what? They don't make it.
They didn't break out.
They didn't break out.
It was 45-10. 45-10, and then they come back to 45-38, and then they got the interception return.
Yeah, pick 6.
Pick 6, yeah. That was crazy.
All right, buddy, who do you got?
I'm going with Adrian Peterson. I'm going with Adrian Peterson.
Nice. I thought about him.
I was like,
I thought about him.
The best thing that could have ever happened to the guy.
Yeah,
you know, it's a shame they had to cut Chris Johnson, but the best thing that ever happened to Adrian Peterson was that he got out of New Orleans between Kamara and Ingram and Breeze, That wasn't a fit for him.
No.
And he knew it, and he was getting.
He
got
like
disgusted
when DeMarco
early
Murray
on.
came to the Eagles. He didn't fit in
He didn't
there.
fit in.
That was
so
a square
he
peg.
goes over to Arizona. First game, he breaks for 27-yard touchdown run, 26 carries, 134 yards, and 2 TDs. And you know what? Arizona wins. They hang on to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I'm giving it to.
That's cool.
Adrian
Did you hear what
Peterson.
Bruce Arians said?
No,
I know how to coach old people.
He said,
yeah.
he said
Carson Palmer and Adrian Peterson and Larry Fitzgerald, those guys. I know how to coach old people.
And
He
you know
said.
what?
That was funny.
That is very funny, but it's true. I mean, Palmer, I didn't think threw an interception. I mean, threw incompletion until he threw the interception. Yeah. He was like 14
That was pretty
for
funny.
14
He said,
or
I
something.
know how to coach old people when they were interviewing him after the game.
Good.
It's pretty good.
That
But
is
a
very
good pick. I did look at his numbers and saw what he did. And you know what was even better? I saw him after the game. He had a smile on his face. And that was even, I don't even know so much about it was a win or whatever, but he felt like he was a part of the team again. He's down in New Orleans sitting on the bench, twiddling his thumbs like, I'm not even a part of this team.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
and like I said, I'm happy for Adrian Peterson. I really am. He's always been a very good football player, and hopefully he'll end up his career in Arizona and have a couple good years
A couple
left.
decent years. But
Yeah.
he, even after you said I heard him talking to his son. His son plays football.
Yeah.
And he's like, Dad, I got like 6 TDs or something. He's like, how many you have?
Yeah, really.
And he's like, I got none. So now he said he's going to go home and tell him I'm catching up to you. I got 2 tonight.
That's sweet.
That was pretty fun.
All right, well, listen, Joe, we got to do one more timeout. When we come back, I got the Big Frank question for you, and I also have our 5-pack picks brought to you by Izzy's on 3rd Street as well. So we're going to take another quick timeout, and when we come back, we're going to take the road home, the back stretch. We'll have some fun right here on the Vallejo Stun Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Key Bank, the official bank of the Monday Morning Quarterback. Get to know Key, your local, responsible, award-winning bank. Brookside Country Club, where elegance and excellence are par for the course.
Hey, we're back here, my buddy Joe C. in the house. We are back in studio next week too, Joe, so we got 2 weeks in a row here at Pottstown in our home studio at the PCTV Network studio, so we'll be able to rock and roll in here as well. It was fun talking to Tyler Wary. What a nice kid he is. Yeah. Good-looking kid and a good player. His father was here and very, very proud.
Nice.
It's always fun. That's why we do this stuff, isn't it, Joe?
I got to give you some props because I told you this before, but it is a very nice thing you do to recognize these young adults, and for them to come on and be recognized, and the job that you do. I hope a lot of people in this area realize how special this is, and not to take it for granted that the time and the effort that you put in to do everything. It takes a lot, and I give you a lot of credit, Dave.
Well, I appreciate that, Joe, and you know that we love you here on the show. You're as big a part of the show as anybody else, and we miss you when you're not here, and we look forward to seeing you each and every Monday. All right, Joe, here we go.
Oh, my God.
When was the last time the Eagles won a playoff game? Simple. Big Frank question of the week. There he is, my man. Remember that night? Wasn't that the most fun night when...
Yeah, you know what? This is our anniversary coming up. They're playing Washington.
Yeah, Monday night.
Monday night.
Yeah.
Right?
Michael Vick went nuts, but I want to thank Ronnie Batara. He is the owner of Clean Cut, and it was great to see Ronnie, his sister Sue, her husband Booty, everybody, all the Bataras were out there at Doc's on Thursday night, and I want to thank Ronnie for his loyalty and wanting to keep his father's legacy alive. And again, Old Frank was a heck of a guy. He used to love to get that question, didn't
man.
he?
Yeah, man.
All right. So the question is, when
let's
was the
see.
last time the Eagles won a playoff
Let's
game?
see, the last time they
And you're
won a
good with
playoff
dates. I'm
game.
not good with dates and stuff, but
I want to say, wow, it wasn't. I want to say like 2009.
ooh,
2008. Wait. It was 2008 because they played the championship against the Cardinals and lost to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals went on to the Super Bowl and lost to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Is that it?
2008, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay.
Well, like I said, I knew you had a shot.
I was
at it
thinking
'cause you're good with
2009
dates.
Super
I'm not
Bowl.
good with
Yeah.
dates and stuff.
Yeah,
but
2008.
2008 was the
You know
last
who-
time.
I
they
forget
won.
who it was, though, who they beat.
I just heard it on the radio today. I was like,
because
man, I couldn't believe it was that
That's
long
the year
ago.
they lost to Arizona. That's the year they lost to Arizona. Yep. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, sweet.
I remember that.
You got
I
it
have
down.
a trivia question
All
for you. With Barkley, the running back for Penn State.
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley. There's a chance that he could be the #1 draft pick, right?
Yeah, it could be.
In the NFL draft. Who was the last Penn State running back to be the #1 draft pick?
Oh, man, I got to think about that.
well-
Not John Capoletti. He was.
Nah, well, that was 1973.
Franco Harris. No.
No.
Lonnie Moore.
No.
State
Penn State running back.
Kurt Warner wasn't #1.
No, and Blair Thomas, no.
They were all.
They were all
high.
yeah, they were all high. I'll give you a hint. Cincinnati Bengals, number 32. Kajana Carter.
Oh.
He was the #1
Was he
draft
picked?
pick. Yeah, he was the #1
Number
draft
one
pick.
overall pick?
Yeah, I was stunned.
Are you
when
sure
I,
about
yeah. I was stunned when I heard that. Kajana Carter.
#1
Yes.
overall pick.
Yeah, for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, he could have been their #1 pick, but he was the #1 overall
yeah,
pick.
#1 overall.
What year
Yeah.
was that?
I forget the year, but yeah.
Okay, we'll have to
We'll check.
Google that.
We'll Google it.
All right, here we go. Our 5-pack picks. I was 3-2 last week. Ronnie Butara, Bigsy was 3-2, and Jimmy V was 2-3. Poor Jimmy V. He had a bad week, but he's still my man, and I love the guy. All right, Izzy's on third. Stop over there. See Kurt and Shelley and everybody. Tell them that we sent you. Paul Bauer and all the gang. Good spot. Great little sports bar.
I love
And
that
Izzy's-
name. I love that. Izzy's on
on
third.
third.
You stop at third before
Yep.
you go home.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
right.
go.
There you go.
Attaboy.
Before you slide
There
in.
you go. Yeah,
Here we go. Tonight's game, Indy and Tennessee, Joseph.
Indy and Tennessee. I'm going to go Tennessee.
I am too, I think.
Really?
I don't care for either one of them.
Okay.
Is Mariota playing?
I think so, yes.
Okay, well, then I give the edge here. Here's an interesting game all of a sudden. It's been a rivalry for 100 years. Kansas City at Oakland.
Wow.
Kansas City lost their first game last week to Pittsburgh, and Oakland, they're reeling. 4 in a row they lost.
Yeah. Carr's hurt, but then, Andy Reid. I'm going to go Kansas City.
I'll go against you there. I'll go Oakland.
All right.
All right, we got to hurry here. We only got a couple minutes.
right, okay.
How about those Saints now? Now they're traveling to Green Bay. Before Rodgers goes down, looks like a layup. But now we have New Orleans and Drew Brees doing a good job going up against a backup
I
quarterback.
tell you, but, Green Bay's defense could step up, and I'm going to go Green Bay.
So am I. I'll go with you there. Arizona, all of a sudden now with a big win, taking on my Rams. The Rams are 4-2. I'm telling you.
In
I
London.
like this. Is it in London?
It's in London.
Oh,
It's
gosh,
a
I
1
didn't know
p.m.
that.
game. 1 p.m. game, but it's in London. I'm going to take the Rams.
So am I.
Because
like
those
Sean
old
McVay.
guys can't travel.
I know. They're going to have to stop.
They're
on the
going to
way
be
over the
tired.
stretch.
They're going to be tired.
And then, well, we don't have an Eagles game until next Monday, so we got one more. Atlanta at New England.
I'm going to go Atlanta, bouncing
Okay.
back. And
Oh.
New England doesn't look that good. You like them too?
Absolutely. I'm going to New England.
You're
know
going
that.
New England?
Absolutely, I am.
Oh, my gosh. Their defense
I don't
is
care.
horrible.
I don't care. They're going to beat them.
Horrible.
They're going to beat them.
And the EAGLES on Monday.
No, I'll be next
Oh,
week.
okay.
We do next week.
All right, yeah.
See now,
I
that's
wrote
what
it?
Yeah, you did.
I wrote
You did. It is always great to have you back, but then you
Now
got
you gotta mess it up.
You got to take
I
three
got-
steps
hey,
backwards again.
always
You have
gotta
to
plan
go
ahead.
2 forward,
Always gotta
3
be
back.
one step ahead of you.
Oh man! Hey, listen,
All right.
great to see you again, Joseph. We'll see you next Monday again right here in our PCTV Network studios. I'm Dave Ridenour. He's Joe C. We're the Dynamic Duo. Thanks for watching the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.